Back and forth. Notice how the body is feeling. As usual, here we are. It's Wednesday. It's a great time to reset for the rest of the week. Steady out your breath. Use your breath. Inhale back. Exhale forward. And then just square it off onto all fours again, and then take it into the cat and cow. So inhale, drop your belly, lift your eyes. Exhale, pull your stomach in, tip your chin. And then just try to match your breathing to the movement. Settling into your body for the next 45 minutes of pure bliss. On the next exhale, just come back to that squared off position on all fours. And from there, you're going to curl your toes under and lift your hips up and back into downward dog. Really straighten the arms, hollow out the armpits so your shoulder blades are flat in the back. And then just walk the feet out a little bit, lifting the heel, lowering the heel. And then from there, I want you to inhale, float forward into a high plank. And then exhale, lift back up to downward dog. And then inhale, float forward nice and steady into that high plank. Exhale, lift. Inhale, float. Exhale, lift. And last time, inhale. And then from here, you're going to exhale and lower yourself down to the floor. And then you're going to inhale, lift into downward dog, so lifting your chest. And exhale, you're going to pull your hips back into child's pose. Inhale, you're going to come forward and down into that upward dog. And then exhale, pull it back into child's pose. Inhale, forward and down, upward dog. And then exhale, pull it back. And then you're going to come up into a high plank. We're just going to do some oblique reps here. So just pull knee across towards the elbow. Nice and steady. The only thing that's moving is the leg as it crosses the midline. Good job, you guys. 4, 3, 2, and 1. You're going to release. Awesome. So we're going to start out with our first roll. We're going to do everything for 45 seconds. So the first thing that we're going to do is just work to release the neck. So what you're going to do is lay on your back with your head on your foam roller. It's on your neck. So if you don't have a foam roller like this, it's fine. You're just going to lay on the floor. From there, we're just going to turn our head slowly, mindfully from side to side. You want to just think about letting the tension release itself naturally. You do not need to press your neck in firmly to the foam roller. In fact, I don't want you to do that at all. I just want you to gently turn side to side. We have just under 10 seconds left. And release. So from there, what you're going to do, if you have the roller, you're going to get the roller positioned at the bottom of your shoulder blades. You're going to bring your hands across your chest and lift into this bridge. And then you're going to roll back and forth. If you don't have this particular foam roller, that is fine. You're going to lay down on your side with your knees to one side, and then you're just going to open your chest and close it, reaching the arm to open, and then bring it back towards the other hand to close. So we're going to do that for 45 seconds. Halfway through, I'm going to ask you to bring your hands from across your chest to behind your head. The other thing you can do, if you feel comfortable, but if the foam roller is new for you, just keep going up and down. Otherwise, as you go up and down, you can kind of shift a little to the left, a little to the right. Just getting a little bit more targeted. And now I want you to go ahead and bring your hands behind your head. Those of you not using a foam roller, what I want you to do is to start circling your arm up and around, and then down and back to the start. Up and around, back and down. Those of you doing the arm circles laying on the floor, I want you to switch directions. Good, you guys, awesome. And gently release. So for our next one, we're gonna roll out the lats. So if you, again, aren't using the foam roller at this moment, totally fine. What I want you to do is to do the overhead stretch, pulling your wrist up and over to the side, and just doing that with repetition. All right? Those of you with the foam roller, you're gonna lay on your side with the foam roller under your arm, and you're just gonna shift your weight so the foam roller moves down and up under your arm. Okay, so we're rolling out a portion of the lats here. It might feel super uncomfortable. And you're always trying to keep it on the muscular part and not trying to roll bones. You might feel it a little bit. Just kind of shift. Nice job with those overhead stretches too. Super, super effective. And we're gonna switch sides. So if you're doing the overhead stretch, you're just gonna continue with this. So after today, if you roll on your own, you can do anywhere between 30 and 90 seconds per roll. You wanna do what you can do well and effectively. So if things are really feeling tight, you might want to defer to a lower amount of time when you're first starting, so you're not compensating in your movements or causing pain elsewhere. It might feel harder or more painful on one side versus the other, particularly normal. And gently release. So if you have a foam roller, what you're gonna do now is lay on it lengthwise. With the shorter foam roller, that's gonna be a little hard because you want to have your head on it, so make sure you place your butt at the bottom. If you don't have the roller, if the roller's too short, just lay on the floor, or you can put a couple pillows under your upper back, because from there, I just want you to stretch your arms out. So if you're elevated a little bit off the floor, it's just gonna deepen that stretch across the chest and the shoulders. You're not actually rolling anything right now, you're just using the roller as a little bit of a boost off the ground. So that's why it's also fine if you roll up your yoga mat or just put some pillows underneath your upper back and head. You can gently shift a little bit side to side. And then you're gonna snow angel your arms up and over your head and then down to your side. Just gently sweep the arms up and then back down. This time when you bring your arms up, you're gonna hold there and then just pull your elbows down so you're now at a 90-degree angle, and that chest stretch should feel deeper because we've changed that angle in the arms, and you're just gonna hang here. So what we're doing with this is just working out the tight spots that tend to compensate for other areas. And then after this little series, we're gonna do some stretches that we traditionally do in this class. And from there, we're gonna do some different strengthening type moves. Some will feel different, some will not. And gently release. So from there, you're going to transition into a seated position on your foam roller. If you do not have a foam roller, this is where you're going to bring in your rolling pin or massage stick. All right, so if you have the traditional foam roller, what I want you to do is just get comfortable going back and forth across your glutes. So you can bring your hands behind you, or you can leave them on your foam roller. You just want to get a nice controlled roll and notice the range of motion that you can get without tipping over backwards. If you have, if you've got the rolling pin, you can use that handheld roller to just roll your glutes out. You know, this might look awkward. You can stand and do that on either side. The other thing that you can do is just sit and lean onto one side and like draw a circle with your glute on the floor. So I'm literally just circling around right now. So those are your two options. And if you have like a lacrosse ball or a baseball, you can do that same thing with the ball underneath you on the floor. All right, so from there, we're gonna lean off to one side. So if you're doing things on the floor, you're already in the position you wanna be. We're gonna try and dig into the piriformis right now, which is a deeper glute muscle. So you're gonna lean onto one butt cheek, and then you're just gonna roll back and forth from here to start. Noticing how that feels. And again, like I said, if you're just on the floor without a roller, even on the roller, as you go back and forth, you can start to circle around. That way we're not just grinding over the muscle, but we're really getting into every aspect and getting a little bit deeper, which we do need to do for the piriformis. And if this feels pretty easy, or if it doesn't, you can take the same leg and try and cross it over the knee. And that will deepen that roll as well. But if you cannot cross it over, that's not a big deal. But you want to make sure that the side you are leaning on, it's that leg that crosses. You guys are looking good. And if you find a tight spot, like a knot, feel free to just sit right on it without moving and just breathe. And then it should release itself. And if it doesn't, you might need to come back to it later. So let's let go of that. And then we're gonna switch sides. So same thing, you're just leaning to the other side. So if you're on the floor, again, just do what we're doing, but on the floor. Otherwise, use your rolling pin or your massage stick. Back and forth, drawing a circle. So one offering thought that I want to make to you is oftentimes the pain that we have in our body might not be manifesting exactly from that point, and we do our body and ourselves a disservice by continuing to try and stretch or release that pain point. Sometimes that pain point is caused by another area in the body that's not working effectively, and that is the area that we have to address. Like with a lot of seated behaviors, our hip flexors tend to be the culprit of issues in our back or our glutes. You can cross the leg if you haven't yet, and just kind of gnaw on that for a little bit, because it can feel confusing to think about. So if you have these pain points that have been around for a while, we can chat about them at some point, because if you've been trying to stretch and relieve pain in one area and nothing's working, it might be that we need to address another area. All right, and release. All right, so that is the first segment done. So now we're gonna go into some static stretching that's generally gonna address some different areas that we were just rolling. And so the first stretch that we're gonna do is a lot of people's favorites. It's gonna be the child's pose. And if you have a foam roller, you're gonna put your hands on it and just extend the foam roller out and over your head, bringing your head between your arms. If you don't have one, totally fine. You're just gonna come down and think about stretching your arms a little longer forward. And so you're just gonna hold, just hold the stretch, no movement. So we're getting a nice stretch in the back here, with deeper back muscles along with the chest. Make sure you breathe while you hold. And then gently release. So from there, what we're gonna do is stretch out one side of the chest individually. So you're gonna be back into the child's pose, but this time one arm is gonna come out to the side, and you're just gonna press that arm either into your foam roller or into the floor and feel that pec on the one side of the body stretching right out. The other arm can just kind of relax over your head. So one arm out to the side, one arm over your head. And then gently release. We're gonna do the other side now. So same thing, just on the opposite side of the body. And gently release. Awesome. So no roller needed. We're gonna come into that half kneeling hip flexor stretch that we've done quite a bit lately. So you're gonna step 1 foot forward. You're gonna come into a nice neutral spine, tuck your tail a little bit, your glute, push into that back leg a little bit so you feel that stretch in your hip flexor and down your quad. We're just gonna hold here. You can have your toes curled under or not, whatever feels best. I get a little deeper sensation when I keep my toes curled under. And then let's gently release and come onto the other side. I like to add in some repetition and change the position a little bit, but just in the interest of time today, we're just gonna stick with this one stretch. So same thing here, kind of tuck back, get everything to a nice neutral, and then just push a little bit forward till you feel that stretch happening. With our static stretching, remember minimum of 30 seconds. Oftentimes, this is where we will kind of walk away from our workout without a cool down. But it's an area we should invest into. All right, so now that we've kind of got things worked out, stretched out, we're gonna add a little bit of strength in. So we might use the foam roller for some things. It's not necessary at all, so if you don't have it, it's fine. We're gonna start with a bridge. You guys are well acclimated to the bridging, glute bridge. If you have a foam roller, go ahead and put your feet on it. If you don't, just leave your feet on the ground. You're gonna press your arms in your side, and you're gonna lift, squeeze your glutes and lower, and lift. So if your feet are on the foam roller, we want you really feeling this more in your glutes than your hamstrings. So if you're really feeling a lot of tension in your hamstrings, I would encourage you to bring your feet back to the floor and keep this move in your glutes. Let's do one more. And just rest. All right, so let's go again. Lift, your back is straight, and lower. So we're intentionally working on strengthening the areas that we just stretched and released. So we're just getting everything sort of reset the way it should be, which is going to set you up great for your afternoon. So you can let go of that. You can set your foam roller off to your side. You're going to stay down on the floor on your back. So your arms are going to come down on the floor at your side, but your hands are going to be facing up. So if you see me, my fingertips are facing up towards the ceiling. I'm going to do a reverse chest press. We've done plenty of moves similar to this. This is just a different variation. So what you're going to do is press your arms firmly into the floor at your side as you squeeze your upper back. You're going to hold and then release. And you're going to do it again. I also want you to engage your abs as you do this. So this is that isometric strengthening. No change in the length of the muscle. Going directly to the weakest point, aka the part that needs it the most. So you hold for 3 or 4 counts and release, and then do it again. So notice your shoulders. You really don't want your shoulders shrugging to your ears. You want to think about pulling your shoulder blades in towards each other. Go for 3 more. And then rest it. Kind of notice how that feels. All right, so we're going to come up to seated for the second set of this. And you have a couple of options just to kind of remind you the same thing, same stimulus, but the ways we've done it in the past is either you hold a band, you pull the band apart and squeeze your back, or you just pull your elbows back and squeeze your back. So pick one of those options. Either the band pull apart, shoulders down, shoulder blades moving in towards each other. Or just a no weight row. A lot of these things seem so simple, but as I said before, they never ever go out of style. You don't have to do big fancy exercises to get results and feel great. Some of these essentials are just like essentials that we keep in our kitchen for cooking. They're that important. They never go out of style. And gently release. So from there, we're going to come on to all fours. We're going to work into that bird dog position. So you want your hands under your shoulders, your knees under your hips, spread your fingers out, eyes slightly forward. First set, we're just going to lift and lengthen, pushing through the heel, focusing on the lengthening of the arm and the leg and the stretch that we feel across the back. Gently pulling your belly button in, keeping those abs engaged. And I don't want you to be disappointed because we're going to be coming back to that foam roller later on. After this little strengthening session. Let's do 4 more. And then take a little break. Good stuff, you guys. All right, for the second set of this one, you have an option. You can continue with the bird dog, or you can come up into that high plank we've done before and lift and lengthen from there. The wider your feet, the bigger the base of support you have. Just gonna give you, just make it a smidge easier. So go ahead and start with that. Whatever option works best for you guys. Beautiful. Very nice. No holding your breath. Let's do 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Let it go. Awesome job. All right, from here, if you've got a circle band, go ahead and grab it. If you don't, not a big deal. You're gonna put it around your ankles. You're gonna lay on your stomach and you're gonna lift your feet. So your knees are gonna be wide, your heels are gonna be a little bit more narrow. You wanna drive your hips into the floor and then you're just gonna push out against that band and then gently release. So just remember to keep the knees wide. This is creating a slight internal rotation of the hips. You should feel those deep glute muscles getting all the attention. One more, and just rest. Good job. So exercises like clams and crab walks are sort of in this same family of muscle activation, but it's good to have variety. So we're using this one today. So let's set it back up, pick up your feet, flare your knees out a little bit, push your hips to the floor, and go. One more, and release. You can go ahead and take that band off. From here, we're gonna come into a high plank. We're gonna do what's referred to as a scap push-up. So we're only moving from the shoulder blades, particularly for round 1. So what you're gonna do from the high plank is just squeeze your shoulder blades together and then pull them apart. So the only movement is from you moving your shoulder blades. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, rest of the body stays strong, and then pull them apart. Keep going. Good. Nice. A+, you guys. And rest. Good. Perfect, perfect. All right, for the second set, you can do what you just barely did, or you can add a full push-up to it. So what you would do is go down, up, and just right beyond that range of motion of the end of your push-up to spread your shoulder blades out, and then down. So down, up, expand, retract, and then push up. When you push up beyond that range of motion, you don't want to lift your butt up too. You're just spreading your back out, spreading those shoulder blades out. Good. Awesome, you guys. Beautiful. So strong. And gently release. That's enough. Good job. All right, one more in this series before we get back to the foam roller. But you can do this exercise on the foam roller. You're going to lay on it lengthwise again. You can either leave your feet off on the ground or you can lift them up. And you're just going to do some pelvic tilts. So again, you're drawing in and up from the pelvic floor all the way up the abs, holding, again, that isometric contraction, and then release. Obviously, this can be done very easily on the floor. I'm just using the foam roller because we're trying to focus on that today. And again, you can keep your feet flat on the floor for either option as well. And release. Good. All right, so we're going to leave that there with just that one set. We want to jump back into some more rolls for different parts of the body. So this whole segment will work great with a handheld roller, massage stick, or rolling pin, or our regular foam roller. And we're going to do the calf. So what you're going to do is put your leg at the bottom of your roller, or you're just going to hold your handheld roller and roll up and down and side to side. Otherwise, you're just going to lift your weight up and roll it up and down your calf. And you do want to kind of shift your leg side to side as well. So that way we're not just getting in the gastroc muscle, the main muscle of the calf, but also in that soleus muscle and those other smaller muscles that run through the calf. If this feels easy to you, you can also cross your legs over one another and roll that way. But for now, let's switch to the other leg. Same thing. Sometimes those handheld massage sticks or rolling pins can be more effective for this, because if you feel your wrists picking up tension or your shoulders, that can be sort of a limiting factor of using the foam roller. So you're going to release, We're gonna move to the IT band now, okay? So we're talking side of the leg, hip down to the knee. This is most people's nemesis from any variety of activities. So you're gonna lean onto the side, not on the bone, rolling a little bit forward. Bring the top foot over to give yourself a little support. And then you wanna roll down the side of your leg to just above the knee. All right, so we've got the IT band here. We've got the little TFL muscle, lateral part of the quad. And for people that this hurts like really prohibitively to do, this is where the handheld device can come in, because you can control the pressure a little bit more. With the foam roller, you have to think about you're putting all your body weight on it. And so if it feels super tight. And like I said with the glute, if you find a knot, let it sit there. Let's go ahead and switch sides. See how the other side levels up. Same good form. Down and up. Again, a lot of people will tend to feel a little bit tighter on one side over the other. Awesome, you guys. And release. So from here, we're gonna have a seat. We're gonna take it into the hamstring roll with the handheld. Just bring it underneath the leg. You can do this sitting, standing, kneeling, and just roll up and down. Those of you on the foam roller, you're gonna bring the leg over with the foot flat, and otherwise, you're gonna be rolling from just above the back of the knee to the very top of the hamstring. And again, you can shift your weight left to right. So you're not neglecting any parts of the hamstring muscle. And then we switch to the other side. And gently release. All right, we're gonna wrap this party up with some attention for the hip flexors. So if you are going to roll out the right side of your hip flexor, you're gonna have that right side of your hip on the left end of your foam roller. With a handheld device, you're just gonna hold it in your hand on your hip flexor. On the roller, the other leg is gonna come out to the side, and you're just rolling up and down. You're leaning off to the side just a little bit, but also a little bit to the front. And it's just a really small motion here, up and down, and you can shift your weight side to side as you roll. With the handheld, you're just gonna bring it right to the front. And just move it up and down. And the great thing with the handheld is that you can adjust the pressure to whatever is just enough. Not too light and not too tense. So go ahead and go to the other side now. Notice if it feels any different on this side. And as always, if you feel a tight spot or a little knot, just try to let it sit there, meditate a little bit, and breathe. With our good strength training routines and good self-care and intentional stretching and this myofascial release, which is what the foam roller and handheld devices provide to us, we really can keep ourselves in good working condition. So you can let go of that. And then we're just gonna do both quads at one time. So you're gonna even yourself out on top of your roller with your handheld. You'll do one leg at a time. And you're just gonna roll forward to the top of the knee and then back to the top of the hip. You can do this individually and in your own time. I encourage you to try that, because if you do one leg at a time, you're gonna feel even more intensity. So if doing both of these legs at one time feels like a lot, then just stick with that. The other thing you can do is bend and straighten your legs as you roll. And if you find a tight spot, you can sit there and then just bend and straighten your leg while you sit there. All right, so lots of strategies for soft tissue release. If you haven't had a massage lately and haven't been willing to dive back into that, I was gonna go back to the static stretches that we did, but we've kind of run out of time. So you can go back and do those, but hopefully this was enjoyable.